I've watched people rule themselves out of tens of thousands of dollars in assistance because they did the math on a napkin instead of asking a professional. So don't guess yourself out of a house. Somebody told you that you need 20% down to buy a house. They lied. Not a little lie, a big lie. Because right now in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, pretty much most states, there are buyers closing on homes with almost nothing out of pocket. Some with literally zero. And the programs making that happen, most people have never heard of them. A lot of lenders are actually kind of afraid of them. And it's not just because they're a secret, but because nobody's really explaining them. So today, that changes. I'm Derek Meyer, owner of Hixon Mortgage. We served well over 350 families in 2025 last year, and on pace to do that again. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how as little as zero down and low down home buying actually works here in Central Oregon, the Portland area, and the Tri-Cities, which is the places that we serve. So real programs, real income limits, real numbers. Let's go. First, the myth, 20% down. Where did that come from? It came from your parents. It came from 1985. It's not the rule. It never has been the rule. The average first-time buyer in America actually puts down single digits. And plenty put less than that down. So if 20% has been the wall between you and a house, I've got some good news for you. That wall, that's not real. So picture this concept that unlocks kind of everything in this video. There's 3 letters, AMI, area median income. Write that down. Because almost every affordable lending program in the country hangs really on those 3 letters. Here's what it means. The government looks at every household in your metro area and then lines them up by income and then finds the exact middle. That middle number is the area median income. Half of households earn more, half earn less. Then Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the state housing agencies use that number to decide who qualifies for their best programs. And here's the part that nobody tells you. These limits are actually probably a bit higher than you might think. People hear income limits and they assume these programs are only for people that are barely scraping by. Wrong, dead wrong. Let me just prove it to you right now with the actual numbers for the area that we serve. So these are brand new limits that really just took effect in June. So let's start with Central Oregon first, because that's kind of where I'm based right out of. Bend, Redmond, Prineville, Madras, Deschutes, Crook, and Jefferson counties all share one number now. The area median income is $115,100. So that's a pretty big number. And the 80% threshold, the one that matters the most, is $92,080. It's a pretty good number. So now let's chat about the Portland area. Multnomah, Washington, Clackamas, Yamhill, Columbia counties. The area median income there, $120,300. The 80% number, $102,640. So for $102,000, you represent 80% of the median area income. So read that again. You can earn over $100,000 in the Portland metro area and still qualify for programs designed for low to moderate income buyers. Now let's chat about the Tri-Cities, Kennewick, Pasco, Richland, Benton, Franklin County area, because I work up there. We have an office up there. Area median income is $105,400. 80% of that puts you at $84,320. So you make $84,000 and you're 80% of the income. And here's the bonus most people never catch. These limits get set across a whole region, not town by town. So a lower cost town inherits the same high limits as the inexpensive city next door. Prineville, Madras get Bend's limits. Pasco gets the same limit as Richmond, which means in the more affordable towns, the limit sits way above what typical households actually earn there. So how does this translate to you? In those towns, most qualifying families, most of them, and almost none of them know it. They all qualify. So what do these numbers actually get you? 2 things. And really, here's where I think people leave out. This is where it could get good. So thing number 1, conventional loans built for you. HomeReady from Fannie Mae. Home Possible from Freddie Mac. If your qualifying income is at or under the 80% number for your county, these programs are available to you. 3% down, not 20, 3. So when you don't put 20% down, you have mortgage insurance. These programs have reduced mortgage insurance compared to standard conventional loans. And the pricing penalties that normally hit buyers with smaller down payments or imperfect credit, those are all waived. So they're called AMI waivers. So great nugget for the 80% AMI. The stuff that makes loans expensive for regular people gets stripped out. And no, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer for these. First-time home buyers get another gift on top of that. Up to 100% of your area's median income, the standard pricing adjustments get waived entirely. So credit, whatever that looks like, gets waived entirely. So in Portland, a first-time home buyer household qualifying up to $128,300 can access the better than standard conventional pricing. That's not a typo. That's what it's designed to do. Thing number 2, down payment assistance, or DPA, Delta Papa Alpha. This is the piece that takes 3% down and turns it into 0. So let's just pick one and talk about the Oregon Flex. This is the state of Oregon's down payment assistance program, and it might be the most underused tool in the entire market. So here's how it works. You get a first mortgage, just like we talked about. Then the state stacks assistance on top equal to 4 or 5% of that loan amount. 4 or 5%. Your minimum down payment on these conventional programs, 3%. So just do the math. The assistance is bigger than the down payment. It can cover your down payment and in some circumstances, potentially cover closing costs as well. That's how zero out of pocket happens with a conventional loan. So who qualifies for the Oregon Flex? Borrowers earning $125,000 or less. That's the top, that's the cap. Not 50 grand, not 60, 125. The home has to be in Oregon and it has to be your primary residence. And here's the kicker. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Let me say that a little bit louder. Oregon Flex is not just for first-time home buyers. Now, the structure matters, so listen closely. If your income is 80% of the area's median income, remember these numbers: $92,080 in Central Oregon, $102,000 in Portland, $102,640. The assistance comes as a silent second. No monthly payment on it, and it's forgivable over time. You heard that right. Stay in the home, and that assistance can be forgiven. Money that helped you buy the house that you may never have to pay back. If you're above 80% but under the 125 cap, you still get the assistance. It just becomes a small, repayable second loan instead. Still a massive head start. Oh, and one more thing on the Flex. If you're a first-time home buyer, you'll complete a home buyer education course through an approved provider, a few hours of your life, if that. That's the price of admission. Take the class. Now, let's cross the Columbia and head over to Tri-Cities. If you're paying attention to this is for you. Washington runs on its own machine through the Washington State Housing Finance Commission, and their flagship is called Home Advantage. The income limit on Home Advantage was just raised to $215,000. $215,000, I need to check that. In Kennewick, Pasco, Richland. Almost everybody watching this fits under that number. The program pairs a first mortgage with a down payment assistance that comes as a deferred second. Deferred means no monthly payment on it. It sits quietly until you sell, refinance, or pay off the house. Same playbook, small down payment requirement, assistance stack on top, cash to close shrinks towards zero. And Washington has additional need-based and specialty assistance programs that can stack for buyers who qualify, and including options for veterans and buyers with disabilities. There are more layers here than most lenders even want to bother to learn. And before anyone asks you, yes, true zero down loans still exist on their own. VA loans, zero down, no monthly mortgage insurance, one of the best benefits ever created. And if you've served, we should be talking. USDA loans, zero down for homes in rural eligible areas. And to be honest, you'd be shocked at what counts as rural in Central Oregon and outside the Tri-Cities. Those two programs alone put people in homes with nothing down every single week. Now, the objection I hear every day, Derek, I make too much. Do you though? Because here's what most people miss. These limits are based on income qualification, the income we actually use on the loan, not every dollar that hits your household, married, and your spouse earns. In some cases, we can structure the loan with one borrower. Big overtime or bonus income, depending on the situation, some of it may not count against the limit. I've watched people rule themselves out of tens of thousands of dollars in assistance because they did the math on a napkin instead of asking a professional. So don't guess yourself out of a house. The second objection I hear is these programs must have terrible terms. Actually, quite literally backwards, completely backwards. Fannie and Freddie require lenders to do a certain share of these affordable loans, which means lenders compete for them. As a mortgage banker and a broker, I can shop your file across multiple platforms, multiple lenders, multiple investors, and find the one hungry for exactly what your loan looks like that week. That's one of the whole reasons I built Hixon Mortgage this way. Third objection, there must be a catch. The catch is the paperwork. The catch is the home buyer education class. The catch is working with a lender who actually knows these programs exist, because plenty of them don't, or they don't want to deal with them. So that's really the catch. That's it. Let's bring this home. You're thinking about buying. 20% down, as we know, is a myth. The area median income is the key, and the limits are higher than you think. $92,000 in Central Oregon, over $102,000 in Portland, and $84,000 in Tri-Cities. And those are just the 80% tiers. Conventional loans like HomeReady and Home Possible get you in for 3% down with reduced mortgage insurance. The Oregon Flex stacks 4 to 5% in assistance on top of that, with an income cap of $125,000. And it can be forgivable. Washington's Home Advantage does the same job with an income limit of $215,000. VA and USDA are still flat out zero down for those who fit it. Let's talk about builder incentives, who can cover the closing costs on top of all of it. And that is one of the best ones run through one of the preferred lenders, which I just happen to be. The information is free. The programs are funded. The only thing standing between you and an answer is one conversation. And if you're still here, here's the bonus. Everything I just showed you was about the down payment. There's a second pile of cash sitting on the table right now, and it's coming from the builders. Builders have inventory they need to move. And when builders need to move homes, they don't just drop the price, they stack incentives. Credits that can cover some or even all of your closing costs. Right now, today, the builder I work with, one of the largest builders in the Pacific Northwest, is offering exactly that. So follow the play. Down payment assistant handles the down payment. Builder credits stack and attack the closing costs. Put them all together, and the cash you need to walk into a brand new home can shrink to almost nothing. Guys, this is not theory. We're closing buyers on this exact play right now. One thing you need to know, though, in most cases, the full incentive package is only available and on the table when you finance through the builder's preferred lender, i.e. Hixon. But the good news is we know what we're doing. We know how to educate you on this process, and we're excited to do so. But that's just how these deals are built. And that's the seat I sit in. Buyers who walk into an outside lender and leave that money behind, but builder incentive changes monthly, sometimes weekly, so the window is whatever the window is. So here's what I want you to do. If you found value in this, comment the word golden. I'll send you the details on the builder's incentives that are available right now. And we'll schedule a conversation to talk about if this really makes sense for you or not. All you have to do is ask us, and we are ready and standing by to do that. All right, so quick bonus. I'm going to do the math from the overhead camera looking down on how you can potentially stack a first, second, and then have the builder cover the closing costs. So let's do that now. Okay, guys, I'm going to start from the top down, and we're just going to do the qualification and then probably cut it and move right over to the payment so you guys can see exactly what this looks like on paper. I'm going to use Central Oregon. So that's 115 is the area median income. So the way this works, we're going to use 80% of that equals 92,080. This is the number we're going to use, okay? So 92,080 divided by 12, 76.73 a month, okay? That's the 80% of the 115 over 12, okay? We can use 45% of 76.73. Got it? That equals 34.53.30. 34.53. Okay? Just for sake of conversation, assuming we don't have any debt, this is the number you get to use for your mortgage, okay? But it's really for all debts, okay? So you've got 115, 100, 80% of that is the $92,080. $92,080 over 12 is $76.73 a month. That is your gross income, and at 80%. 45% of that is $76.73, which means the max payment with some wiggle room is about $3,453. So that can increase a little bit, but we just use that for standard math, okay? So let's cut and then move over to the monthly qualifying payment. Okay, so moved over to a new board. We have $3,453 to play with. I went ahead and did the math, just kind of keep it simple and max it out so you guys can kind of understand what we're looking at here. So this is a $450,000 loan slash purchase if we're trying to get to as little down as possible. So let's just assume credit's 720. It's a primary residence. The principal and interest at today's 6.5% is $2,844. Okay, so that's the first. Your mortgage insurance is probably going to be $200 a month. I'm guessing, right? So the $200 a month is when you don't put 20% down. Obviously, we're trying to put as little down as possible. They introduce mortgage insurance as a hedge against you potentially foreclosing. So obviously, in this scenario, we need to have mortgage insurance. That's a critical piece because we're trying to get in with zero down. So on a $450,000 loan, I would just say property taxes are $320 a month as well. And then that second, the flex second is zero. So we're really kind of sitting at the threshold, and let's just make sure the math is the math. $3,364, okay, is your payment. And then you have $3,453. So runs right up against it. But this just shows you that a $450,000 loan is doable. I don't know that I would run it that hot, but it's doable. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? So then the other question comes into play, which is you've got your first, and then you've got your second. And so the first is, let's say, 97% loan to value. So you're putting 3% down, but the second is covering the 3%. There are closing costs on every loan, hard cost to produce a loan. For a $450,000 loan, that might be $12,000 to $15,000. And as I was mentioning, a lot of the builders right now are not wanting to reduce prices, but they are wanting to offer incentives. They might even be offering up a $15,000 incentive on that. So if you aren't able to take your conventional FHA, whatever first, right? That first, and then have an Oregon Flex or one of the, it doesn't have to be the Oregon Flex. That was just the example I was giving. They have lots of down payment assistance programs out there. Most lenders offer them. So you have your first, your second, which is that Flex, right? And then your taxes, your insurance, your mortgage insurance, and then that down payment covers the second. And so now you've got closing costs. So you've got property tax, you've got prepaid property tax, prepaid interest, you've got the cost to originate the loan, title insurance, all that. So I would speculate that that's between $12,000 and $15,000 on a $450,000 loan amount. And the builder might just say, yeah, we'll just cover that for you. They want to sell the houses, right? So that is essentially one way to get into a property with as little as zero down.